Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, it's time we had a look, because Sword and Shield, right, Sword and Shield is out on Friday. Sword and Shield is out really soon. So I figured, well, if Sword and Shield is coming out, we'd probably best have a gander at the best new decks coming out from Sword and Shield. Now, in a future video, I will be showing you old decks that get better with Sword and Shield and rounding them up. Today, we are focusing on new decks that do not exist now, but will exist as of Friday, and in tournament play as of 2 weeks on Friday. I have done videos about all of these decks. I'll link them in the description. So if you're looking for deck lists or detailed descriptions of the cards and how the decks play, that is the best place to go and have a gander. So starting off then, we might as well start at the beginning with inarguably the best deck coming out of Sword and Shield, Zacian V. Although I say Zacian V, there's actually two different ways to play Zacian V. Now, the original way, the way that really struck immediately, was Zacian V played with Arceus and Dialga and Palkia. And the theory here is extremely simple. Arceus and Dialga and Palkia's got a ridiculous GX attack that for one metal energy makes your Pokemon do an extra 30 for the rest of the game, but if you add a water, you also take an extra prize every time you take a KO for the rest of the game. Bit over the top silly good, no? And then you've got Zacian. It also accelerates energy ADP, I should say. So it accelerates free energy. For free energy, hopefully you won't need it too much. Zacian V is one of those cards that is so good it's borderline broken. 220 HP on a basic Pokemon, and it's got an ability that basically lets you draw free cards, but any metal energy you draw, you attach straight to Zacian. Now remember the new rules coming in with Sword and Shield, whereby you can now no longer attack or use a supporter on your first turn going first, so you might as well do something. This is what you do. And then free energy 220, and you can't attack on your next turn, but we've had a million different Pokemon like that in the past, and it's never hurt any of them, so don't worry your pretty little heads about it. Then you realise you've got Metal Saucer to accelerate energy to it. Then you realise that you've got Metal Frying Pan to take away your weakness and mean you take 30 less damage from attacks. So now Pokemon have just got to straight up do 250 to get a KO, i.e. Reshiram and Charizard for 4 energy won't get a one-hit KO, and you're on to an absolute winner. Now, the other way to play it is you play it with Lucario and Melmetal, and you go a bit tankier. You're no longer doing the extra 30, you're no longer taking the extra prizes, but Lucario and Melmetal's GX attack says that for the rest of the game, all of your metal Pokemon take 30 less from attacks. So then you whack a Metal Frying Pan on there, and you got a 220 HP Pokemon that takes 60 less damage from every attack and has no weakness, while it's sitting there hitting 220, and at this stage you can probably start seeing why Zacian is the best deck. Now, I did show you videos, and one of the ones I showed you was the metagame over in Japan. And I told you that the top decks are the two Zacian builds. And they are, there's no way around it. They are the number 1 and number 2 deck in Japan right now. As for which build is better, it's going to take time, and it's also going to depend on where the metagame goes. But they are basically your two options here. You play it with ADP so you get a bit more damage and take extra prizes, or you play it with Lucario and Melmetal to do a little bit of tanking. Either way, Zacian V might be the best new deck coming out of Sword and Shield, but it's also the new best deck, period. Now, another deck which is coming around and being really very good indeed is Morpeko V. I love Morpeko V. And Morpeko is one of these that's just got a whole heap of good stuff going for it. So Morpeko V, the first attack for 1 colourless energy, 20 to the active, 20 to one of your opponent's bench. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that's some kind of powerhouse attack, but I absolutely am going to say that, you know what? Early in the game, you've not got much else going. Basic Pokemon, single energy, this'll work. The main attack here, 2 lightning, 1 colourless energy, 150 damage, discard an energy, and switch to the bench. But remember, you're a lightning Pokemon, so you've got Electro Power to do extra damage, so when I say 150, take it with a pinch of salt. And of course, you've got Thunder Mountain Prism Star and Tapu Koko Prism Star, which, I mean, they can make this a turn 1 attack. If you can use Tapu Koko to get an energy on it from the discard pile, attach for turn, play a Thunder Mountain, then all of a sudden Morpeko V is doing Electro Wheel turn 1 going second, which is a bit good. Now, it is a hit and run attack, so we do need blockers, but the lists I'm seeing coming out of Japan are generally just playing Lily's Pokédoll. 30 HP Pokemon, but it's an item card, doesn't give up a prize. So essentially, that gives you 4 turns where your opponent attacks and doesn't take a prize. 4 KOs they take that don't get them any closer to winning the game. And then you bring in Morpeko VMAX, which is generally a one-of in most of these decks. Same attack cost, 180 to the active, 20 to each of the bench, plus you go up to 300 HP. Now, you do give up 3 prizes rather than 2, so you got to time it correctly, but this is proving to be a really genuinely good deck. And the other one, which is just, hey, I'm going to play this Pokemon V, is Torkoal V. Torkoal V is one of these. I've had so many questions from people basically going, wait, but what's it? Is it actually good? Yes. Now, the first attack, 2 fire, 1 colorless energy, 90 damage, discard the top card of your deck. If it's a fire energy, you do 90 more. This is fine, but with Welder and the new Oranguru, this is great. You see, Welder lets you attach 2 energy from your hand and then draw 3 cards. So you play a Welder, you do your attachment for the turn, you've got 3 energy on Torkoal V. Life is good. But the new Oranguru lets you swap a card in your hand with the top card of your deck. So as long as you've got a fire energy in hand, then what you do is you guarantee a fire energy on top, and you get to draw a card as well, because you're drawing whatever was on the top card of your deck. And now you're drawing a card while doing 180 for what is a very easy to pay in 1 turn attack. This is pretty gosh darn good. And then, of course, we realise 3 fire, 1 colourless, 120, discard 2 energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. And this is the part of Torkoal that I don't think people are talking nearly enough about. You discard 2 energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. There are not that many Pokemon that can deal with that. Against the Pikachu and Zekrom, you're undoing the Tapu Koko attachment and the attachment for turn. Against Reshiram and Charizard, you're just undoing a Welder. Against decks that don't have much good energy acceleration, you could be ending the game. I adore this. And 120 isn't going to KO everything. That's fine. You don't need to KO everything, because if you're stopping them attacking, you can 2-hit KO. And that does the same job. This is a really, really good deck. And of course, being a fire deck, it means you've got Giant Half to search out your energy, and Fiery Flint to search out your energy, and Fire Crystal to get it back from the discard, Heat Factory, Prism Star to draw extra cards, etc. Being a fire deck is great. And yes, Torkoal V is legit. Another one which is very much legit is Frostmoth with Lapras VMAX. Now, I can't tell you that Lapras VMAX will remain the best way to play Frostmoth as we go forward. I can tell you that right now it is the build that's seen the most success over in Japan. So Frostmoth has just got a phenomenal ability. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach a water energy from your hand to one of your benched water Pokemon. But don't sleep on Quagsire. You see, Quagsire, it's a Stage 1 Pokemon that lets you move water energy to your active Pokemon from your bench. So with a Quagsire out, Frostmoth lets you put that water energy anywhere. It can go on the active, it can go to a non-water Pokemon, because you accelerate the energy onto Quagsire and then move it to the active. Okay, fine, you cannot put it on a non-water Pokemon that's on the bench until they get in the active. But I stand by what I said. Frostmoth is great. And Lapras VMAX, big, powerful attacker. Lapras VMAX, I mean, the main attack we're looking at is the one on the VMAX. 3 colorless energy, 90 damage, plus 30 more for each water energy on this Pokemon. So if you've got 3 energy on, which is the minimum, that's 180. And then you just keep going. And the thing is, your opponent can chuck down a Snorlax VMAX, more on him in a moment, and you can get a KO. It'll take a few energy. It's not going to be easy. Got to get some energy out. But I never said it was easy. I said it was possible. Now, they've got 340 HP, so you do 90 base, which means you need to do 250. So if you've got 8 energy on there, you're actually falling 10 damage short. You will need 9 to go up to 360, but that's all right. It can be done, and that's kind of the point. Now, Lapras V's also got a nice little attack. 4 energy, 210. Return 2 water energy to your hand. And returning hand is a good thing, because you can reattach him with Frostmoth, and if Lapras goes down, you've got the energy in your hand ready to attach, rather than having to recover it. Although do please bear in mind, you're going to need a bunch of stuff like Energy Recycler, so that you can keep getting the energy into your hand, so that you can consistently just be attaching it again using Frostmoth. This hasn't seen quite the impact in Japan of some of the other decks on this list, but I do absolutely buy it. It doesn't have to be Lapras VMAX. You can use this with any water Pokemon at all, but Lapras VMAX tends to be the way to use it. And as another quick side note before we finish on this deck, Quagsire has got an awesome ability, but it's also got a really nice attack on a non-GX, non-V Pokemon. Does 60 plus 20 for each water energy. Don't sleep on that. Rillaboom. I love Rillaboom. Rillaboom has so much potential. Now, I'm going to be doing probably tomorrow or in 2 days' time, I'm going to be showing you a list of the best budget decks from Sword and Shield. But Rillaboom doesn't fit there, because it uses too many tag teams. Now, Rillaboom's got the ability Voltage Beat. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 grass energy and attach them to one of your Pokemon. It's basically Vikavolt, but instead of being a lightning and a grass, it's 2 grass. And we all saw how good Vikavolt was. Now, over the past couple of weeks in Japan, people have started playing this with Rayquaza to just do a whole bunch of damage. You need a couple of lightning energy, but that'll do. And then, of course, you've got Shaman Prism Star, which has got basically the same attack. Also, right, Shaman Prism Star for 2 grass energy, 30 damage for each basic energy attached to all of your Pokemon. That's 1 Rillaboom ability to get the energy on there, and this is a deck that relies on getting a bunch of energy on the field. Probably want to play Shaman. One thing we see a lot here is Rowlet and Alolan Executor, because that for 0 energy lets you evolve a Grookey right up to a Rillaboom. You just get to evolve a grass Pokemon on your bench. Pretty awesome. So, turn 1 going second, 0 energy, boom, Rillaboom's out. And then you got decent attacks on that, or you can play it with Celebi and Venusaur, or you can play it with Venusaur and Snivy, or you can play it with Buzzwole and Pheromosa, or you can play it with Mewtwo and Mew. You'll need some Aurora energy in there as well to pay for some other weirder attackers. The point is, there are so many options here. It's kind of a little bit silly, and that's kind of awesome. This is a Pokemon you should expect to see around a lot. And the final one I want to mention here is Snorlax VMAX, but I don't know what to do about Snorlax VMAX, because there are so many different ways to play Snorlax VMAX. Now, the thing that makes us want to play it straight off the bat is the ridiculous 340 HP. It is gigantic. And then you've got a retreat cost of 4, which means you can start adding in buff padding, go up to 380, which is just dumb. And then for free colorless energy, 60 damage, plus 30 more for each of your bench Pokemon. So here it should pretty much be a given that you've got yourself a full bench, and then when you've got yourself a full bench, you're doing 210 damage. The real question is, how do we play this? Now, the good news is you can use triple acceleration energy to pay the attack cost. Falls off at the end of the turn, but it'll work for now. And then Welder will put 2 energy on, and then you just attach 1 for the turn, and that's fine. But how do we play it? One list I've seen, one I really like, is using the Steelix from Cosmic Eclipse. That's the one where you discard Pokemon from your hand with a retreat cost of 4, doing 50 damage for each one discarded. Because Snorlax has a retreat cost of 4, so that'll work. And that's used with triple acceleration energy and Welder. So there's one option for you. I've seen it played in fire decks with Welder. I've not seen it so much, but you can imagine it being played with Malamar, accelerating Psychic Energy. You can pretty much play it on its own with Triple Acceleration Energy. Snorlax VMAX is one of the ones I'm finding it hard to pin down, because I've just seen too many other options. I've seen it played with Arceus and Dialga and Palkia. The only thing I can really say for certain about Snorlax VMAX, it is definitely a very good card, and you should expect to see it doing very well and winning a bunch of tournaments. But I'm not entirely sure the best build that we want to use when we're seeing it winning all of these tournaments. Hey ho, that's what we can do for now, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we can do for now. What I'd like you to do, though, is tell me if I've missed any. I think these are the best new decks coming from Sword and Shield. That is to say, the best decks that exist with Sword and Shield but didn't exist before. I'd like to know if you think I've missed any. Obviously, we already have talked about, but I'm going to do a video rounding up Malamar decks and Pikachu and Zekrom decks and Reshiram and Charizard decks and all of that. These have all changed with Sword and Shield, and I would argue the three I've mentioned all got better, but they ain't new decks, so they don't deserve to be in this video. But as it is, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think about these decks. Which ones are your favourite? Have I missed any? What are you going to play when Sword and Shield comes out? Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WasiPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are still pretty gosh darned awesome. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.